Hello and welcome to a video about accessibility. So I went through the Solid Demo app. I did some updates to get accessibility working and we can talk through it. So here again is the Solid Demo app. You should be used to this thing by now. And inside of the Solid Demo app, there is a use announcer plugin. So it's one of the Solid primitives. It's very easy to add to your app. You just import it with use announcer, call it. It takes some options. I just added some options to set the default of the debounce, which is how long it takes before it actually starts announcing things. There is a debug mode for it, and then there's just a flag whether it's enabled true or false. And then inside the app, in order to enable it, you just press the A key, and the A key will toggle the enabled true or false flag. So that's it for the setup. Now we're going to walk through how this actually works. So right now I don't have it enabled. I'm going to enable it. It's going to be maybe not too loud, but let's see. So I press A to enable it, and then you have to change focus. So I'm going to press right. And then
The Last of Us.
there we go. We did it one more time.
20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed, Joel, a hardened survivor, is hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressive quarantine zone. What starts as a small job soon becomes a brutal, heartbreaking and/or in an era filled with sinners. Ash. Havoc.
Okay, so basically,
When a drug heist swerves lethally out of control, a jaded cop fights his way through a corrupt city's criminal underworld to save a politician's son.
Okay, so now announcer's turned off so that we can talk through what's happening. And I disabled sound, so you can actually disable sound on any site by just clicking on this little info icon, disable sound. So I do this a lot. I have the debugger enabled, so I'm going to press A to turn back on the announcer. So we won't actually hear anything, but it's going to print out this table of all the elements that it went through to find things to announce. And so how it works is it goes through the focus path to the element. So this is our thumbnail that has focus, the final focus, the Last of Us. And so this is top down, so app into the browse page. This is the browse column. It has an all trending all. The tile row has nothing on it. And then it goes into the thumbnail, which says The Last of Us. You can give it an array. So it's actually the title, and then there's a pause for maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then it's the description of the show. So that's what's inside of this array. And we are going to look through how to do it. And then it goes back up the focus path to announce context. Okay, so very, very simple concepts, which we're going to walk through with an example. So here's the browse page. And one of the ways to make this easier to debug or figure out what's going on is I like to add IDs to different elements. And you'll notice those are what are printing out on the debug. Is it looks for this ID, and all that is an identifier to help us find it. And then you'll notice that there is an announce on here. So depending on what filter you have, it will say all trending, all trending movies, all trending TV, and this comes from the router. So that's just putting a filter in there, and it will announce. So again, it's coming top down. There's nothing above this. So it's saying all trending movies, and then it goes into the tile row, which has a selected item, and it will start reading off the selected item. And then inside of my tile row, you'll see this has an announced context. We won't get to that yet. We'll first look inside a tile row. The thumbnail has an announced context. And what this is saying is it's saying index like 1 of 6 items. So this is the proper way of doing it, is announce context. So it actually goes into thumbnail first. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place. But if we go into thumbnail first, I have an announce on here. And essentially the announcer looks for 2 properties. So it looks for an announce property, or it looks for a title. Those are the 2. And it announces first and then title. And so what we're doing here is we're giving an array. And so this is the first string. It's going to read the title of the show. It's going to pause for 1 second, and then it's going to start reading the overview. And you heard that kind of like the little delay before this happens. So you can add any type of pause that you want in here, 1 second, 2 seconds. You don't need a pause if you don't want it. And again, this takes an array. So that's very useful for having multiple items. The other thing that you can do in here is you can actually put promises in here too. So if you have dynamic data that you have to wait to load, these can actually, this could be an array of promises that it will wait for them to be resolved before announcing them. So that's another thing to do. So as I was saying, what happens is the focus path, it's going down the focus path from top to the element that's focused, looking for announce and title. And then it's going to read those off. And then after it's done, it's going to go back up the focus path to look for context. So this one, the thumbnail itself doesn't have context, but the parent, the tile row, has context. And so this context is just saying press left or right to review items, press up or down to review categories, press center to select, and then there's no more context inside of here. And so again, if we look at the browser, we can see, you can see the 3 of 7. So this is on the thumbnails. It's saying this is the third element of this row of 7 elements in the row. So it gives a user a little bit of knowledge of where they are and then what actions they can take moving over. So here's another example. So we see every time we move, so I can move really fast and it's not going to announce anything because there's a debounce on there. So it's going to wait 400 milliseconds for things to slow down. And now if I go over to the menu, you'll notice it announces the main menu and then it's announcing trending. And whenever you have a button, I put trending, comma, button. And that allows the user to know this is a button. You can hit enter on it. It's just a common pattern to do. So now I'm going to press down. The other thing to notice is, so now that I'm in the main menu, it read off main menu. And then the second time I press down, all it's reading now is movies, comma, button. And I can actually, we can see the array down here. And I'll expand this. Yes. So there's no context, but you can see the 2 items as TV browse, comma, button. So that's all that's being announced. It's no longer announcing main menu because you haven't changed from the main menu. So another thing that the announcer does is it does a diff between what elements actually changed. So since we're in the same column, it's not going to reread the columns announce because the user already knows that they're inside of this thing. And I should make this better. So this should be like item 4 of 4 to let you know that you can't navigate down anymore. But I haven't added all the different accessibility yet. Okay, I think that was a ton of information. One other thing, sometimes you'll have modals or pop-ups. I also did the browse page. So let's go to the browse page real quick. So as soon as we go here, you'll notice we change pages. It's going to come up with, there's a top level array of items. So that first one is announce Havoc. So we're on the Havoc TV show. We read out the whole description and then it goes to the buttons. So we get announce play, comma, button. So that's what has focus. And so here's another cool part. We'll clear this real quick. I'm going to press down. You'll notice this is the recommendations row. It's actually, the row has an announce property on there, recommendations. So it's going to say recommendations, comma, and then it's going to read off this entity, and then it's going to say 1 of 7. And we could again have press left or right to navigate, etc. So if we look real quick on the entity page, we can see how that's done. And it's, again, very simple. You just add announce properties. So now when the tile row receives focus, it's going to announce recommendations because that's the name of this text. And you can manipulate what's being announced based on what has focus. So we don't necessarily have to read this thing. We just put another property on the tile row to know what to announce. Another thing that I will add is it's very easy to do translations too. So if you have multiple languages, right now I'm hard coding strings because I'm kind of lazy, but you could do $T and use translations if this doesn't autocomplete for me. But just use the translate function and you can have recommendations and it will come up with the actual value for the different language that the user's actually in. So very easy to do translations. These are just strings that are being read out. Okay, so another question that I had is like, well, what about modals? What about if it's just too hard to use all this announce and all these properties? Well, the other thing that you can do with the announcer is you have direct access to just speak whatever you want to. So in the portal page, you can actually just import announcer. So I just change it so you can import announcer directly. And then at any time, you can say announcer.speak. And you can give it whatever string that you want it to speak. So welcome to the examples. New modal popped up. You have access to this. You have access to that. So if you don't want to use announce properties and title properties, you can just speak out whatever you need to speak out. And that's an easy way of doing it. The other thing is there's an announcer.cancel. There's different methods in here because one of the things is if it's currently reading something and you open up a pop-up, like you want to cancel what it's currently reading and then speak out the new context. And the same thing is if you jump back, you want to reset the context so that it speaks out everything. All right, hopefully that was a ton of information that was helpful for folks. This is kind of how the announcer works. As always, leave comments. Let me know if you want me to go into more details about specific things or if I missed anything. And yeah, hope you enjoy and take care. Bye.